Hi, Emperors. Yes, another message for the Emperor or the Emperors of my collective. So, anyways, I got a very interesting message, and it's crazy. So, I was trying to meditate on like what's today's strategy or what's today's message, and I was brought to a challenge, and then it was crazy because I remember just how I felt in that going through what I was going through and being on this end of it and being able to like write how I felt from this perspective, like the eagle's eye, and then to kind of create a map. I was shown you, and I was shown, it was kind of like you were in the midst of this problem, and how I got through it, I'm able to kind of walk you out of it. So, Emperor, what the hell is going on? Anyways, the overall arc of this message is illusion of necessity. So I'm going to try to speak to you guys how what I went through, not too specific, that doesn't matter, but the weight of it and the mechanics of it. And then I'm going to try to channel into you and guide you through whatever you're going through. I might pull a card, I might not. I told you it's not my clutch, but I do like to have it. I do like to pull things. I do like to see a little deeper. So I might not. Anyway, so illusion of necessity. So let's talk about what I went through. So I was going through something, and it's crazy. This problem, I think I went through it, and it was kind of like a pressure cooker. Like the weight of this challenge was so heavy, and then I saw how when I was in this time when I went through it, I was at a level to where I wasn't reactive to life or the problems. I was in a very deep analytical mode, but the emotional warfare was still present. So I was kind of able to go through the emotional warfare of it, but stay present and navigate it. So yeah, feel the emotions, but not let the emotions guide my actions. So that's how I'm able to kind of feel what you are feeling now. And I was in this problem, and it was, how can I explain this without being too specific? I was in a problem, and I basically had a lot on my plate to solve, because I was at the point to where, and if you go to yesterday's video, like how bad do you want it, I was talking to you, or the video before this, it says Emperor, how bad do you want it? I was talking about how your goal stays the same, but there's going to be like friction to get to your goal. And it's crazy, that lesson only came after I got through this, because that's all fine and well, yeah, move through the terrain, but this is kind of how you move through the terrain. Okay, so I was going through a situation to where I had a lot of problems at one time, and it was just like a lot of just, it was like this, how can I put this? It was a survival problem. It was definitely a financial problem. And I was working towards the goal, and I just kind of had just a lot of random stuff happen to where like I had unexpected expenses, like just random stuff happening to where my goal to get to a certain place, to have something, to obtain something, it started becoming just unnecessarily hard to do. And I already pivoted my company to where I'm not just doing a whole bunch of reactive sales, to where I am in complete like a high ticket mode, to where there's like a gap in between that. But I just pivoted into that. Before, it was crazy. Like before I would have this problem, I'll easily have a quick fix for it. But guess what? When that problem occurred, oh man, I can't like half explain this. Let me explain this. So when you go through financial crisis and things like that, everything is to test your state while you're going through a crisis. It's to test who you become. You know who you are when you're in the most stressful parts of your life. You know who you are. That's why a lot of people, when they're in a real financial situation, they easily like go do something illegal. They do something bad. So when you're in a financial crutch, sometimes life will test to see if you really graduated from what you did, or are you still in a lax state to where you feel like the only solution or the only choice that you have is doing something negative. Well, that test for me was, okay, you already stopped offering like your business services for less for this reactive stuff, because I was going through so much turbulence in my life before to where I was like literally like selling my services for like a cheaper price. And I hated doing that because it left me with so much work when I knew I was high value. But the problem was right there, and I didn't really have time to try to close somebody, do whatever, just, really trying to earn that trust, which takes time to do. So I would just I was so reactive to what life was throwing at me. I was like pitching and then just getting the quick funds to solve a quick band-aid. But then I was left overwhelmed with such a big task because in that moment, my state was in lack. So my actions came from me being just so stressed over money to where I offered a service that I know was worth like a lot of money for me to get. But because I needed it that bad, and that person just, and people will also take advantage of that too, so I had a business to where I was going through so much reactively to where I was just doing that. And I cut all that out. So I remember one time I was literally like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to sit here and cold call for just change anymore. And I went through like a real big drought with money because my instinct was to go just go get it. Just go hustle for it. Be like a little just cold call. You want this, you want this, you want that. That's easy because it takes time to actually ground your skill, know your worth, know what to charge, know your value, all of that. I have to kind of learn that. I didn't really have anyone in my life at all to teach me this stuff. I had to learn it by how I felt doing the opposite. So anyways, business started going well, after planting the right seeds and having like the right retained clients, I was able to do more. I was able to like plan better and then plan for more predictive income. I started doing that. But then what happens when you start changing, it's like you built so much momentum up in your old identity. Life supported that old identity. So when you start changing your worth, then it's like people who benefited, or energies or entities who benefited from you not knowing your worth, that was so much energy you was putting out. So now that I wasn't giving that much energy, guess what? I wasn't even working that hard. I wasn't like constantly just doing so much. I had space now. I had more space to relax, more space to chill because I started seeing my value. So I started getting some tests. And like I said, I'm not going to say all tests are from people. What I told you guys before is, friction happens on your path, especially to test how bad you want it. So I went through a big problem, but God was showing me how the enemy works and what the enemy does and what happens to try to keep you back. So it was illusion of necessity. So the test is how light you are in the next few steps. So let me tell you what that means. So when I wrote notes, I had a big problem. It was a financial problem because right before this problem, I already kind of planned ahead. I already had and a good thing about it was I was kind of in a gap. So I already had predictive income that was supposed to come because I had retained clients ready. And then I also just received a lot from a past sale. But in between that, I went through so much crisis back to back to where I had to overspend. So going into this, I just like I said, is you plan and life happens. But anyways, so I was in the in between of having money and then just getting money and then just losing it all from just BS, But anyways, there's the problem, and then there was smoke. Now, mind you, I told you I had a destination that I was trying to get to. But that problem was so big, I couldn't see. I couldn't see clearly. I couldn't see. And what that did was, I don't know if you can see my notes right here. I'm going to try to show you guys. So the problem was equal to the smoke, meaning that as big as the problem was as big as the smoke, which means I just couldn't see which way to go. Like, so if you're driving in a whole bunch of fog, you can't really see where to go. So that that led to confusion. And what did the confusion lead to? Or what was the confusion for? Basically, what was confused was choice. It was the confusion of choice of how to move forward. So the weight of the problem was the weight of the smoke, the weight of the confusion. And the confusion was choice. And then what came down from confusion was no decision. And then what came down from that was stagnancy. I was stagnant. I didn't know. Now listen, this cycle happened a lot in my life way before. And it was back to back. So in this occurrence here, I already healed from a lot of other stuff. So I'm already not emotionally reactive. I'm not just reactive to a lot of things. I mean, stuff may happen, and I'm not at the point to where I would react in panic, because I know that's not going to do me any good. I need my mind to stay very grounded. I need to stay very sound so I can make practical decisions. So even if it's effed up or bad, it just doesn't do me any justice to be that way. So anyways, I had a really big problem, and in that problem, that's when I was already stressed out. I was already stressed out with finances. I have kids full time. I'm a homeschooler, and the money that I make is for them. Nothing really. I mean, everything is for my kids. And then with that, I was confused on what to do, and then I felt stuck. I wasn't able to make a decision, because if you're stuck, you're not moving. But it was in that stagnancy, you see, and this is what the enemy does. Let me go back. If you're moving ahead, or if you're moving forward in your life, the enemy wants you to be stuck. Because if you're stuck, then that's when they can kind of manipulate your choices around you. Because if you don't have a choice, and the enemy will try to get you stuck so that they can be the obvious choice. Remember how I told you before about how people in my life were like emotionally manipulating me, and then architecting situations, causing the problem just so they could be the solution? Yeah, if you ever want to hear about that, watch that video on my TikTok when I talk about I was talking about that situation in a creative way. I forgot what it was, but I might post a picture of that here. But anyways, it's funny. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna post I'm probably gonna add it to this video if I remember. But the enemy wants you to stay stuck. But if you can get your mind calmed in the stagnancy, because the thing is, the enemy can do whatever they want. You can't avoid stuff, but it's how the issue is, how faster do you navigate in the terrain? The terrain is always going to be there. So people who think that they're going to have a life that flows and there's no terrain, they're honestly just bypassing life. So the key is how to get through the terrain faster. Okay? I used to get stuck here. The problem and the smoke was here, and I would honestly avoid getting to the stagnancy, because I started thinking that I don't want to go through that, so let me hurry up and make a cell so I can just get out of this faster. But then guess what? I kept repeating this problem over and over again, because I always thought I knew better. I always thought, well, the key is to just never be here. But then I was like, you know what? F it. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go where the enemy wants me to go. If the enemy wants to do something to you, they'll only do something to you that they believe will make them stuck. it's like the enemy is not going to put you in a box that they know that they'll get out of. They're going to try to put you somewhere that they don't know how to get out of. So if they can create a problem and they can smoke up your direction, and they can cause confusion of your choice to where you're not making a decision and call you stuck, that's when a little smart ass system, they can come in and manipulate you. So look here. Watch this. I used to go problem, smoke, solve quickly, but you see there's nothing under here that leads under here. But watch this. If we go the enemy's route, watch this. Problem equals smoke. Then I go to confusion of choice, no decision, and stagnancy. But look, the path out is through the enemy's path. And that's where they're dumb. I'm sorry, let me stop. That's where they're not smart. That's why you don't fear stuff. You go there. I went there. I went exactly where the enemy wants me to go plenty of times. And I realized, man, I'm going to at least be the one that can get through your traps. Because if I can get through your traps, then you aren't useful. You aren't useful. So the person around you is trying to get you here. But guess what? Let me tell you something. I always talk about Aikido. It's not even using your own force. It's using your enemy's force against them. It's using your trap against them. So, I had a big problem and I had smoke, right? And usually, and I tried to solve it. And I did. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I stepped back into old patterns. Like, I called the client and I was like, because I got so many damn skills, I could easily just like make money. I can just say, hey, look, your website is crap. Let me redesign it for you for a quick ass deal. Easy. But I don't want to do that because I'm like, yo, my shit, first of all, I don't even just do websites. I do full client acquisition systems. I'm not doing that no more. I used to do that stuff for cheap. I used to build not just a website, a front end and a back end. I used to build a complete client acquisition system for a website price because I didn't know my worth. And so I stopped doing that. So that day I tried that. You know what? God didn't let it go through because guess what? It didn't go through because I was vibing too high for that. So it would have taken a lot for me to bring my vibration down. So then I got really emotional and upset. I'm like, why isn't this working? Because I was out of that identity already. So what I did was I was confused. And I had like a deadline, a couple of days to kind of figure some stuff out. Because I needed to move forward. So I was in this problem this day and I couldn't make a decision. Stagnancy. Now, the root, why they want you to be stagnant is because they want you to be stuck. But guess what? That's where they're dumb. You see, the enemy can only play in your past or in your future. But they can't play in the present. That's why they have to manipulate your present moment so you make the wrong choice in the future or you revert to your past. But they have no power in the present moment. They have no power here. They have absolutely no power in the present moment. That's why there's anxiety or depression. But what do they talk about the present? Nothing. If you're present, then you're just powerful. Why do you think there's only medicine for the past and the future? Past, there's depression medicine. Future, there's anxiety medicine. So their enemy is not in the present. The enemy is dancing around in an invisible bodysuit in the present. Because it don't want you to see where your power and the gift is. And then if you see in the present, you'll see exactly. So I love the fire. I love the smoke. I love it because I can see you, mother effers. Anyways. See, I gotta stop. I get carried away. But I'm going to keep that part there because that's just me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm very, I get. We're talking about war, so deal with it. Anyways. So, you focus on today only. Yeshua even said that. Focus on today because tomorrow will handle itself. Yeshua was teaching people how to navigate war. Anyways, what problem can you handle today? So, go back to the arc of this message. It's illusion of necessity. So, they don't want you to handle today. They want you to think about, because like I said, is There's the goal. So they want you to change that goal. They want you to feel, you have to go into the enemy's mind of what they want to stop you from doing. They want to stop you from hitting that goal. So if they give you a problem when you're stuck, then they'll give you a fake solution, but it derails you from the goal. You have to trust on thy own understanding. So, what problem can you handle today? So, listen, I had all those problems. And I was like, oh, F these problems. So, I need money. I said, so what right now am I paying for that doesn't matter? I was like, all right, bet, F it. And I didn't think twice about it. I thought about it. I didn't ruminate on it. I went, I had a rental car. And I thought I needed that to get to the next destination. So I gave it back. I said, F it, I don't want it. Because I also had to get another one because of what just happened to me in the other place. And then I just went through so much stuff to where I just really just needed a freaking car. And so I've been paying so much money for these rentals and stuff because before I was doing a whole bunch of reactive sales, to where I wasn't building high ticket income to where I can actually save for the stuff that I needed. I was living to where I was spending on just kids, food, housing, just all the time to where I couldn't really manifest the things that I needed, and I was trying to get myself out of that. So I took away just things. I said, what's important right now? I said, and it came to love. I said, what is what my kids need? F this other stuff. The goal is going to be there. What all do my kids need right now? And I took everything away, and then with that, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to have to do without this. Even though I really want it, I'm going to do without it. It's not important. What matters is my kids home. They have food. They have me. Paying for this is the only thing that matters. So everything else, F you. Anyways, the one that can't be handled today is the smoke. Remove it. So the car was supposed to be the thing that got me to where I needed to go. That was the smoke. That was the illusion. What I wanted was still going to be there. But what matters now is my peace. So it's taking away the things that keep you from your peace and your sound mind. Remove it. Confusion is in the choice that lacks importance. Illusion of necessity. That's why I'm so adaptable, because I can adapt to a situation and lack doesn't exist. And it was crazy the next day when my mind was clear of that. The guy I offered, I actually created, no, that happened 2 days later. I had a 2-day deadline. So the next day, that night, I gave everything back and I made sure that I didn't have nothing else to pay for. And I had enough just for literally my kids and getting stuff done. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, I gave it back. I was back to Ubering, which is cool. I spent so much money on Ubers. And then after that, I was like, all right, cool. So right now I can navigate what I have right now. But what is the power that I have in the present? I can build. So that night I built a 10K offer. And the next morning I pitched it. It didn't close, but he said next week. So that was cool for me. It was already warm. And once someone's warm, I got you. You're already mine. You're mine. All right. So, yeah. So, and then from there, I didn't get that yes yesterday, but it was cool. I still had enough. So I was like, I was cool. And I became grateful with enough. Gratitude was in enough because it was in the present. It was in the present. It was there. And then after that happened, the next day, that same guy I pitched, because he was already a client of mine, I knew he had other pending projects. So I quickly I called him. I actually apologized to him. I said, listen, I'm going through a financial crisis and I actually pitched you something that was not my value. And I kind of took that offer back. I was like, listen, I did it because I really needed the money. And I apologized for that. But I was like, listen, you have one more payment left on our current contract. I will extend you an extra week of my services if you just give me an advance on that payment. And cool. I didn't even have to go far for that. I didn't have to offer or lower my value from that. I just extracted what was already mine. You see? So it's when you have to add more, do more. So it's just like that showed you. So that was a big story. I didn't go into it. I ended up telling you guys what happened. I wasn't even going to do that, but whatever. So what I get from this is you actually have people manipulating you right now. And people want to come in as like the savior. People want you to feel stuck, and then they want to be the obvious choice. While you're in that moment of anxiety, I put test. How light are you the next few steps? So when I removed that card, every other step was lighter for me. It's like I flowed because I had like, that was a less expense I have to take care of. So for you, it's not a car, it's a person. Right now, while you're in the problem, you have to quiet your mind and you have to allow yourself to get stuck. Don't avoid going through it. Because me going through it, you see, before, look, if I didn't go, and by the way, this whole process was agony. It was stressful. I went through so much mental stress through this. Not just handing the car back, but it wasn't just that. It was me not lowering my value. That was another lesson I had to grow out of, and I had to stop the loop of, was going through the problem and coming here. Because this kept repeating. Me having a problem, me having smoke, and just trying to solve it quickly. That was my cycle. But guess what? I graduated from the cycle going through it. And then I was able to get through it. But guess what? This was all terrain. This right here is me trying to fly above the terrain and avoid learning from the obstacles. So I went through it that time because I was not going to match that identity that I was in before. All because of illusions of necessities. So right now, you have to do a process of elimination. And what you do is, while you're in that problem, you see all that's around you. And you remove one. Just one. All right, my bad. My phone cut off for a second. My memory was a little bit full, but let's keep going. So, here's how you test the illusion of necessity. This is how you kind of find out what's in the smoke. So, it's this, I'm not really speaking about people in my example because I do have those examples, but I want to just, I don't know. I'll talk about that another time. But for you, you have someone in the smoke, and the smoke is equal to the problem. So you have to like remove some smoke, and you have to remove something that makes you lighter. So what did I say? The power is in the present, and the enemy can't hide in the present. That's why false saviors come. They come in to try to save someone. And they try to create a conflict in the present so they can come in the future. Okay? Or they try to get you stressed about the past or living in the past so they can show up in the present, which is the future of the past. I just hope that makes sense. But anyways, no. They try to show up in the past. All right, let me redo this. They try to keep you living in the past so they can manipulate your present and still come in your future. But everything is to trap the present moment. So while you're in the smoke, you have to only look at the present moment. So now it's crazy. When I'm in an issue to where like something happens, I make sure it doesn't redirect me from my goal. I just reroute and I remove something. I adjust. So I adjust so in my life, it's more, I don't really have a lot of people in my life. I just have clients. So I have to kind of put this to physical things. But I did have people before, but now, I kind of removed like a lot of people. So let me go back to people. People kept trying to like say like, oh, I'm going to need them. I'm going to that. Just kind of trying to define my future or saying that you can't do this, you can't do that. But guess what? I removed them. They were trying to control what I thought about the future by being a nuisance in my present. So right now, my future can go many directions, but right now you are causing me stress. Go. So, because they want, for whatever they say about your future, to be absolute. And the only way they can be absolute is that they can manipulate your present. So I had to process of eliminate people at different points of time, because at that present moment while they were in my life, they were trying to corrupt my future. They were trying to use my past against me to say why I deserve to be treated the way I did at that present moment. So with you, I feel like there's people who want to trap you. And someone wants to trap you. But what they don't understand is if you can quiet your mind, you don't have to worry about the future. They want you to worry about the future. So what you have to do is you have to figure out what you can do that day before you go to sleep. Who will give you peace today? What will give you peace today? Who can you remove today? Your goal is to find peace in the moment that you're going through the problem, and that's how you process fast. If you can process that fast to where you're now controlling the present moment, then you'll now have a collective of present moments. You won't have a collective of what ifs. You won't have a collection of doubt. You won't have a collection of stagnancy. You will have a collection of moments of you making a constant decision to protect your peace. And that will be your consistent present moment. And so you test it by removing that one thing that's irritating you. That one thing that's keeping you from thinking great about your future. That one thing that's keeping you acting in your past, or that reverts you to stepping into your past. Stepping into a version of you that you're trying to outgrow being. Stepping into a habit that you don't want to be. You have to remove yourself from that one step. Oh no, it's crazy. While I'm teaching this, my camera cut off 4 times because my storage was full. And it was crazy. I uploaded the first part of the video to a software. And then I deleted the other videos on my phone so I can have room. And then it was it kept shutting off. And I almost wanted to get frustrated for a second. But you wanna know what I did? I deleted apps that aren't useful. And I had nothing but megabytes left. I'm telling you, the lesson will appear itself in a macro and a micro sense. And now I can record, I can keep going. Those apps weren't even useful. And I had that same issue yesterday when my camera cut off. I'm telling you, the lesson will keep appearing. And then once you show the universe that you're ready to learn that lesson, guess what it's going to do? It's going to keep bringing you people to piss you off. And they're like, oh, you're ready to use that sword. Oh, you're ready to cut off and choose your peace. Oh, you're ready to choose your happiness. It's going to say, let's keep going. And so I started looking ruthless. But the universe and God was just showing everyone that's keeping me from doing this. All I want to do is teach. So it sent me people who tried to tarnish my credibility. Forget that. And then how they try to tarnish your credibility is for you to doubt your future. It's for to send people who are just so damn noisy. Trying to tell you who they are when they won't even step into who they're supposed to be. And then trying to keep you in the past version of yourself that you outgrew. My past mistakes are based off of me trying to solve a problem quickly. And I had to learn how to go through the terrain, that we always have a choice. And I always had a choice. You know what's crazy? I made all my past bad choices. I have a past record. It was all because of survival. I could never get approved for a home, so I did some stuff to get approved for a home. And so I became a nomad because I was like, I don't want to do that stuff to get approved for a home. I don't want to do that stuff. So my life has become me running from something that made me step into an identity just to get something that was an illusion of a necessity. So now I navigate the terrain. Now I move a different way. Now I navigate life a different way. But it took people calling me homeless, people calling me a bad mother, because I decided that I wasn't going to step into an identity. But people didn't want to help. So they would doubt if we don't help her, then she'll revert back to that old ways, that we can call her that bad person again because she's going to do that again. But you want to know what? No. I don't have to live that way. I don't have to have that illusion of necessity. So people want to say that you can't move forward without them, that you can't have what you want without them. So they want to cause you a lot of stress and then send you a woman who you revert back to your old ways are, so you can have a temporary solution, and then you won't navigate the terrain, because going through the terrain is going to reveal who you truly are and who you could have been all along. And it's going to show you that you never have to go the route that you did before. But people don't want you to see that, because if you see that, then you will see them. You will see the versions of them that are holding themselves back too. Then you're going to be like, how can you even have an opinion in my life when you can't even navigate your own terrain? So you're going to decide this time to lead and go through it. Walk through their trap. And what can't bound you is no longer useful to God or even the devil. What did I say? As above, so below. As within, so without. This is what Yeshua tried to teach. An enemy is only useful if he can hold you back in the physical. An enemy is only useful if he can hold you back spiritually. As within, so without. Spiritual, 5D. Physical, 3D. But if you walk through it and you find yourself in it, and then you find that the physical is only an illusion of a necessity, that you are the common denominator, that your peace is all that is needed, your family, who you love, is all that is needed, then you step into your power, and then you can create the solutions now. The solutions that you didn't see before, but you needed the smoke to see. So guys, basiraintuition.com. I'm out of breath right now. I have for now, my prices are like this, because this is something new, but they won't always be like that. So don't think that because I'm pricing low, I don't know my worth. I know what my worth is. But right now, I want to help some people. So come through. 333 for a reading, 777 for a strategy. And if you want to learn more, or if you want just a personal, like, monthly one-on-one, I have a $33 tier on Patreon just for more extended readings. And I have a $500 tier. It's exclusive for a reason. It's for you if you want ongoing support. And then you get like that 777 reading every month. But not only that, you get like additional clarity. You can like write me, and I'll keep like, we'll talk back and forth. And you can also remain anonymous. I don't need to know you to read your energy. And then hopefully soon, my goal, we have a lot of leaders in that group. Even if you want to remain anonymous and kind of just navigate the terrain with other leaders, that's the community that I am building. So basiraintuition.com. God bless you. Bye.